for months and months, going up to American Dragon and doing my monthly workshop up there. And it's always when you're using the iPhone as a camera, and then you gotta sign back in, and then one of Helena's kids just comes to me and goes, "Oh no, you just swipe like that, and it turns the camera on."
Yeah, yeah.
Remember?
Who knew?
There's all kind of shortcuts that I'll never learn. Hey,
all right. Well, I guess
I'm here, so.
So I guess Mr. Pichardo is having the time of his life in southern France or something.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably not going to make it. So as for us four, dearly beloved, we are gathered here to extol the virtues, right, of the person. I refer to him for months as my favorite Canadian Jeet Kune senior. And because he never wants to be online or what have you, so I wouldn't give out his name. And then one day he says to me, he goes, "Okay," he says, "Okay, you can use my name now." Right? So okay, so this is for those of you tuning in, this is episode number 306 of the Jeet Kune Dialogues, and so I had to remember how to set this up. So in alphabetical order by last name, I am joined by Helena Colliff, Don Garin, and Tammy Williams. Williams Timlin. I forget which way to go. Right?
That's fine. Yep.
Okay. So,
So what you're saying is you could go either way. No, never mind.
All right. So
I took us right to the tubes right away.
That's fine. So here is some behind the scenes insider baseball stuff for you guys who are tuning in. Tammy, did you meet Cass in 1983 in Irvine, or did you guys know him before that?
I met him in 1983 in Irvine. Yes. And I believe Dan met him before that when he was at the Aspen, Colorado camp.
Okay. Right. So here's what's so cool. So that was also when I met Dan and Tammy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I met them the same week that I met, guess who? Neil Colliff.
Yes.
Right?
Isn't that interesting?
Right?
Yes, it was.
You know?
Yes.
So I don't think Don Garin ever went to CMAA but then 2 years later, I'm pretty sure it was September or October 1985. Guess where I meet Don Garin? At Dan Timlin's seminar in Lansing, Michigan.
Right.
That's the thing.
And I remember that meeting so well because Dan introduced you and I. I don't know if you remember, and just so we know, if we're going to go back telling stories, I have the world's worst memory. So, all right. Anything I remember is suspect, but I remember almost nothing. So, although I do remember that particular weekend, we met and he introduced us, and then he gave us both a knife and said, "Okay, I want you to knife spar." Do you remember that?
No.
That's how you and I met. We met by shaking hands and then knife sparring. Okay. So this was supposed to be like free flow sombrada, knife flow.
Yeah.
But I didn't start training with Dan until October of 83 in Charlottesville, Virginia. 83 or 84? No, it had to be 83. Anyhow, all right. I had been at this point to, half a dozen seminars. And so, and the seminar had already been going and we'd been training for a while and stuff. And then, he wanted to introduce me. and us, and he said, "Here, this is why Woodson. Here, you two guys probably partner up pretty well together. Here, we're gonna knife spar. I want you to knife spar, right?" And it was supposed to be Sombrada, but I'm so dumb. I don't hardly know Sombrada, right? And what? So all of a sudden, we're trying to stab each other. I mean, what's going on? And yeah, and it was at that point I said, wow, this guy's for real. I really like this guy. And it was just, it's been, straight on honest, relationship since then. When you fight with somebody, and even though it was just, play and sparring, you still, you get, you find out real quick whether somebody, has it or not, and whether whether they have any ass or not, so to speak. Am I allowed to say that? Oh, I guess I am.
Well, I guess you are now.
Right now, I guess I am.
The other reason that seminar is special to me is because that was where I was accepted into the instructorship program.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't remember when I was. Maybe it was then. My memory is so
I think
bad.
you may have been already.
All right, and I guess maybe that was an introduction for us, instructor to instructor,
Right.
or apprentice.
Do you know that you are currently on Facebook doing Hubud with Sifu Dan from '84? Pat Finley just put that up. Yeah, he just put that video up like a couple hours ago, I think.
Yeah, I'm not on any social media. I haven't. I've never been on Facebook. I have never read or sent a tweet or an X or whatever you call it. I just, well, first of all, I'm not technologically, inclined, but computer wise, I had to learn it for the government enough to get by. And then I never got involved in social media mainly because when it got popular, I was already working for the government and it was kind of frowned upon. It wasn't forbidden because they can't do that, but it was kind of frowned upon. And I saw guys do things, stupid things, post stupid things and get fired. So I just said, yeah. Plus, I mean, we can always just call one another, right?
Right.
That's like text.
Gee, that's a concept.
Any more than 3 times back and forth with a text, and I stop and I call.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you just talked about Don. You just talked about knife sparring, and my most recent encounter with Cass Magda was at his knife seminar last month. So let's start there. So we know that Tammy and I met Cass in '83. Helena, let's go with you first. Do you remember when you first met him?
I believe the first time I met Cass was in Neil's very first New York location, 1992, I want to say, early 90s. He had Sifu Cass in for a seminar. Now, Neil trained with him quite a bit. I have many videos of the two of them working seminars in private, but the first seminar I met him was, I think, 91 or 92 in New York.
Okay. So, and we don't have to be shy about this. First impressions of him. We can't possibly get into trouble for talking about this.
I am not being shy. I'm being respectful. Honestly,
good choice of words.
He was a little difficult to read and a little difficult to approach, so to speak. Also because I was a brand new martial arts student for the most part. I started training in '89. I really didn't know too much. I've never met him. I've only heard the name, and he's a bit intimidating. So,
Yeah.
but the more I met him over the years, my view changed.
Right. Tammy, what about you? First impressions. Well, first seminar would have been CMAA,
Yes.
right? With
Yes.
Sifu Dan. But first impressions.
He was very quiet, didn't say much, was very nice and helpful when I needed some help during the seminar. Just very reserved and very laid back. That was my first impression of him. Not really sure how to approach him either.
Don?
I'm not sure whether I met him when he was traveling with Guru Dan, when he came to Pittsburgh, or I think the first time was actually at the Inosanto Academy. And I went out there. I'm going to say this was 84. And and Guru Dan had been here I say here, I'm in Atlanta, but there in Pittsburgh. And I went out, Sarge and I, if you remember Sarge, went out to Bill Edwards, went out to California. Dan had invited us out, and we didn't know that it was going to be for like apprentice instructors. And so we were training during the day, and there were only a few of us. How lucky were we? And I went to a class that night, and Cass and Chris Kent were training together in class, and I was just like, wow, So I was like, yeah, that's what this shit's supposed to look like,
Exactly.
Yeah. And I treasure that because I look at, and again, I don't look online, so I'm probably going to get myself in trouble. There are probably so many great people out there now, and so much good stuff out there now. I don't know because somebody goes, hey, did you see this or that? But I look and I remember those days and at seminars, and Neil always had that look about his collie. There's just Cass said that to me one time. We were talking about, well, I don't want to get into stories, but I think that's the beginning of when I first met him. And for me, it was a little different because he was entirely approachable, and I was young and stupid and just was, hey, how you doing? I didn't know, He was just another guy,
Yeah.
Because he wasn't traveling with Guru Dan at that point. Larry was, Sifu Larry was, and I don't know if you remember a guy named Alfonso Tamez.
Mm-hmm.
Alfonso was training, was helping him at seminars, and then at times he would just pick, like when I went to Charlotte, so naturally Dickie Harrell was there and Larry was there, and so he would use those people. And it was the next year, I don't know when, but I'm going to say Cass started traveling in '86 with Dan, or
No, it was before that.
It was before.
okay, because you were at the very first camps that Dan taught out at, and I guess Cass was there assisting him. That's when you met him, Dan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So it was just the thing where I just met him at the academy, and I just saw him and Chris Kent training together, and those, you're at the Inosanto Academy. There's probably 25, 30 people in class, and they're all better than me. And then those two are standing out above everybody else. And you go, yeah, this guy's okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to meet him. So I just went up and said hi.
Yeah. When in '83, Monday, July 25th, when the seminar started, within like 10 seconds, I was like, that's it. That's what I want. I want to look like that.
Mhm.
You know, and that's been one of the goals ever since. Tammy, do you remember that we went down to the Kali Academy that
Yes.
weekend, the first
Yes.
weekend?
I do.
Yeah.
You didn't train. You sat on the side and you were taking pictures.
Yes. Yes, because somewhere I knew that this was historical, and I should probably get some pictures of it.
Yeah.
You know, right? I don't necessarily. That's why. But now those pictures I lost because.
Oh, I was just going to say,
Yeah.
do you have any of those?
Yeah, no, they're in a photo album that I cannot find. And now let's go forward to the Lansing seminar in '85. There's a picture. So my camera, it was a little bit fuzzy, but here's one of the greatest compliments I've ever been paid. There's a picture of Sifudan, but because it's fuzzy, you can't tell that it's him. And somebody looked at it and they go, "Oh, that's you." Because he was standing with his hand akimbo, right? And somebody goes, "Oh, that's you." I was like, "Yes, yes."
Yep, that's me all day.
Right, right. So here's what happened. So I did my 2 weeks in Irvine, and then I flew home, and I was so enthused. I worked out how I could come back out for another few days, right? And I came back out with souvenir Barbados sweatshirts for everybody that I had met, right? The earlier 2 weeks. And so let's say there's 10 sweatshirts that I came with. 9 of them were the same color, like this powder blue. And then there was one which was this vibrant yellow gold. Guess who got that one? Right? And I said to him, I go, look, because you hear people talking and you observe your own thing and what have you. And I said to him, look, I get it why you have to be the way you are, because you'll never know if people are interested in you for you, or if they're interested in you to get closer to Inosano.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was it. All right. So now we all know Cass Magda. Helena, I know Neil brought him out in January of '87, and I was headed up to New York for that seminar and got into a car accident and never made it. And then Neil was kind enough to send me the videos of the seminar, including the Numerata private lesson.
Ah,
right.
Nice.
yes,
Yeah.
gold.
Yeah.
That's gold.
So that's how I learned Numerata, from watching Cass train Neil. Right.
Wow.
So fast forward years and years later, and Inosano will use me from time to time on seminar to demonstrate Numerata. And I owe it all to a video of Cass Magda and Neil Coliff.
I can't believe
Very
that you
interesting.
learned how to do that off a video. I tried and tried. I still can't do it. I still don't know how to do it. And I watch you do it, and I'm not envious of very many people of very many things, but that, I'm envious, brother. You still look tremendous doing
He
that.
still does.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
still
that's
does. And I'll tell you,
so
one of the
good
most
on you.
beautiful,
Good on you.
Thank you.
one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen was watching you and Neil do Numerata together. The beauty of the differences in the way the two of you perform your Kali. it meshed. And I say the word beautiful because that's what it was. It was almost like a dance watching the two of you go at it with the numerata. It's something I will always remember. And I know I have it on video somewhere, and I will find it. And I will
Yeah.
send it to you. But Don, he still looks great doing it. Still, till this day.
Thank you. We've been trying to find those videos for what, 2 years now, 3 years now?
You see how many I have to go through, and they're all VHS.
I know.
But you know, you can't just, you have to fast forward and stop and fast forward.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, but I'll find them.
Yeah.
And then I'll put them on
Tammy-
YouTube.
All right. Tammy, when did you guys first bring Cass out by himself?
He came here the December after 83, after the seminar that we went to in California. Because he went to see his mom in Canada. So he stopped here and did a seminar, then went on to Canada to see his mom. Yeah.
I went to Canada when I came out for that seminar too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I was driving in from the airport,
Mm-hmm.
and way before GPS and what have you. And so I took a wrong turn. I took a wrong turn and went across a bridge, and then I go, I think I'm in Canada.
That's funny.
So I just turned around and hightailed it, right? So I don't think I ever came to Cass in Michigan. Right?
No, I don't think. No, you came to the Sano seminars and the camps.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So now that's first impressions of Cass Magda, and so Don, when's the last time you saw him?
Saw Cass? Oh gosh. It's been a long time. We talk. And it is funny because I don't, as much as I talk to in person or here, like with people, I don't enjoy talking on the phone that much. So my phone conversations tend to be relatively short. And people sometimes think I'm being just curt. And it's funny, but when I talk to Cass and I talk to him, I'm going to say probably every other month or so. I don't know that we ever talk less than like an hour, unless, one of us has to go to the bathroom because we're old. But so it's been a long time since I've seen Cass. I'm going to say it was the last time I was in Again, my memory's so bad. I don't know. Probably the last time I was in California. I don't know. 8 years ago.
Okay, well, Don, not to put any pressure on you, but you do have 2 upcoming opportunities: September in Michigan and February of 2025 in Florida. I'm
I'm at my desk, and September, Cass, is September in Michigan.
Yep, 21st and 22nd.
Okay, 21, 22. Send me info if you would.
Okay.
And then when did you say?
Miami, February 1st and 2nd. Him and Chris. So imagine that. If you haven't seen the 2 of them together in a long time,
I will be there.
nice.
I will be.
He said it live on Facebook.
September 1, September, I don't know because I have to have. Yeah, I don't know if I'll physically be able to do that. I've got to have an implant put in my heart. So, and I think that's probably going to happen in August. And will I be able to train by then? I don't know. I've been dealing with the medical issue. I blew out my Achilles tendon January a year ago doing Muay Thai, and just one thing led to another. So yeah, you act like you're 31 when you're 71. That's not going to cut it.
So
September's a maybe, but February is as soon as we get off here. I'm going to put
Okay,
it on my calendar, and I'm going to start looking for flights tomorrow.
cool. All right. Now, your name came up, Don, during the knife seminar because we were going over his four rules for knife fighting and what have you, and he mentioned you and the work that you had done with him with the government. Is that
Right.
stuff you can talk about, or
Yes. It. Well, the work that he and I did together was I was. This goes back before 9/11. This goes back, late 90s. The first time I started teaching government people, federal government people, was in New Orleans in 1986. And one thing led to another, and I met a gentleman from SEAL Team 6 there, one of Marcinko's original guys, a guy named Ben Lichtenberg. And he asked me if I would be interested in working with some guys. And he gave me a card and it just said Navy, whatever. I didn't know what the SEAL was, really. And so, anyhow, one thing led to another, and I started working and doing some of this, and I was asked to develop some programs. This was probably early 90s, and so I went to Cass, and said, "Hey, what do you think about this and that?" And he and we worked on that, which led to eventually me helping do a program that pretty much got used nationwide, and it was and it was all Inosanto and Magda stuff. I mean, um, I did anybody film the seminar last month?
yeah?
Did Castle? Okay, I'd love to see that.
Good
I'll call Cass.
Good,
Yeah.
good luck. Yeah, good luck getting your hands on video of him.
Oh
It
yeah.
is like
Yeah.
it is like pulling teeth, man.
Oh yeah. 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 I don't even ask.
Yeah,
And
but you talked about conversation. So he and I would say we talk on average at least once a month,
yeah.
right? Sometimes more. But here's the thing: if he sends me a text, I pretty much immediately clear my desk and whatever it is that I'm doing, like I stop and I reply in the hope that he'll call.
Right.
And if he does call, I got pen and paper because a
Smart.
conversation with him is like a mini seminar.
I my point with he and I talking that way is I don't enjoy talking on the telephone that much, yet I can talk to him for hours. I mean, we've had hour and a half conversations easily many times, and just he there's something philosophical when you talk with them, but at the same time real. And yeah, I always feel refreshed
Yeah.
when I hang up the phone, re-energized.
Yeah,
It's like,
I feel JKD smarter.
yeah. Oh, of course.
You know.
Yeah, yeah. And that's when we were talking about the collie before. There was a couple things he said. Was one, this is going, I don't know, way back when. Again, I'm terrible with dates and times, frames, but I was working on my own curriculum and I wanted to do a blended curriculum. And he said to me, well, every martial art has its own look, and so what do you want your students to look like? Do you want them to look like a JKD person, a Kali person, a Muay Thai person, a what? And that's the first time that I realized. So this had to be mid late '80s. I'm working on curriculum because you're always working on curriculum back then and trying to figure it out when you first start. And um, that that was like an epiphany to me, and I went, "Wow, of course that's you've got to." And somebody stole the line from Cass, I think, but there's a famous book that maybe it's Seven Habits, but start with the end in mind. And he said, that's how you write your curriculum. Think about what you want your people to look like, and then let that guide your curriculum. That to me was profound. And he just said it in passing, and he's just always
Right.
coming out with shit like that.
Yeah.
He's always coming out with shit like that, that I'm like, and I need to start doing the same, pencil and paper.
Yeah.
But half the
Yeah.
time, because of the time difference, he's calling me after I've had 2 beers, and I'm like, yeah, these notes will look like what tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. All right. So Helena, let's because Don's before we talk about we'll finish up, I guess, with reasons why everyone should attend a Cass Magda seminar. But instead of seminar, Cass's influence on you and Neil, curriculum wise.
I know his influence on Neil is tremendous because I remember every time C4Cast would come, suddenly there was a change in how we were doing things and how we were training in the next few weeks and months for the better.
Right.
And just different. He really took what C4Cast was doing to heart and really implemented it as much as he could into, like Don was saying, formulating the curriculum. It's a never-ending process when you're trying to make it better. And I would say that Sifu Casa is what we do today is incredibly influenced, tremendously influenced by the training that my husband got with him. For myself, it's hard because I don't have as much experience with Sifu Cast, but I do remember the one thing I learned specifically from him was how to root myself when I'm striking.
Ah.
That was something I remember specifically learning from him technically. But as far as curriculum, I do remember every time he would come, things would change. So I would say he's heavily influenced.
Were you
There
there?
is, I got to jump in because there is a certain look that people from that era, all right, like Neil's
Yes.
Collie. And when you guys, or Tammy, when you contacted me, um, and you told me that you two were going to be here, and Greg, there is a look that Neil and Greg and Dan's Collie had that was different than today. And Dwight, you as well. The people from that era and the people that trained with Cass have a different look in their movement. And I think a lot of that starts, just like you said, Helena, from the ground up. There is something with that base that allows everything else to be better. Neil's Collie was always like you had said. One of you had said, um, use the word beautiful, and it is when you see somebody like Dwight. Um, when you're doing your Collie, and you're doing the decadena, and it's beautiful to watch. And there's something about that quality of movement that I don't see a lot today. I look around today, and again, that's why I started to go before, and I hope I don't incur the wrath of the internet. Not that I give a shit because I never go on anyhow. All right, but I just don't, Tammy. I'm sorry.
I know you don't.
All
That's
right,
what I love about you, Don.
but I look and I see, and I just go, that's just not right. I'll be polite and go, that's just not right. But some of it, I just go, I'm at a seminar and I'm looking around the room and I go, 75% of these people look like shit. And it's not, I mean, there's something missing. And I think, and that I got from Cass. I have to say that, of course, Guru Dan is the man. He always has been, always will be. He's, the sun that all of us get, our light from. But Cass has influenced my collie more than anybody else I've ever trained with. There's just something different. Anyhow, sorry.
Yeah. No. No. It makes perfect sense. And there's hope for the upcoming generations, because when Ron Goldstein and I started traveling together, the very first trip, we went out for SEALAT camp at the Inisano Academy. And I said, Ron, if I am going to be good to you, if we are here in LA, there's only one other place that we have to go. And we went to Cass's place. And Ron walks in, and fortunately for us, Ron got the vibe immediately and notices that there are 2 upcoming Magda Institute seminars and signs us up for both of them.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, he got the vibe. Right. Tammy, talk to us about curriculum, because I know. So you guys know that Tammy and Dan went out to do a business presentation at the Magda Institute. Did you guys know about that?
No.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
A business?
Yeah.
Good for you.
See,
Yeah.
this
Did I know
is
that?
how
I don't know
slick.
if I-
Yeah, this is how slick Magda is, right? See, you never look at him and go, this is a guy who is into the business aspects of martial art, right? Is that no, this is a guy that's all about the physical practice and the fighting and this and whatever. But then I say, well, you should ask yourself this. How do you stay in business in the same location for 36 years if you don't know what the hell you're doing behind the scenes?
Yep.
Right. But Tammy, you take it away, right?
I believe it was his 30th anniversary, I think, out there, or 25th. I don't remember which one it was. 25 years or something at that location is when we went out to do the seminars. We did like a section of business for all of his people that he brought over from Europe and so forth. Because
that would have been 2013.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that was a while ago. And I remember training there, and I think one of the pictures I sent you was we had done some bow staff, and it was hotter than heck, and I was just dripping with sweat. It was so hot in there, but it was definitely the influence in our curriculum from Cass definitely is the collie. But it's also the SEALAT, because I know he and Dan used to work a lot with SEALAT when he would come up here, and when we were out there as well. Yeah, so those are the 2 major influences in our curriculum. Yes, and I agree with you, Don. You can see the difference of the I call them the old timers versus the current state of students. Just how they move is very different.
Well, and I think that goes back to the way Cass still teaches. All right.
Mhm.
Now, every time Girl Dance here in Atlanta, in fact, just in September, or no, when was the last time it was here?
Um,
March, twice a year.
it was
Um,
April.
March,
Whatever
April.
weekend it was, Ron and I were at Cass's.
Okay, April. It was here in April, and it goes back to the way that Gurdin used to teach, as opposed to now, because the seminars they have a different purpose now. Okay,
Right.
way back, he was looking to spread his knowledge and was looking to build instructors.
Mm-hmm.
So if you went to a seminar, and this was, back when seminars would be 6 hours, okay. We'd break after 3 hours and go to lunch and come back, and lunches were longer and come back. So it was all day, but you might spend all day Saturday on single stick.
Yes.
I mean, there was a topic, and I look at, and I try to explain it this way. I used to have my curriculum posted on the wall, right? Easy for students to reference to. And I would try to explain, look, if you take this level curriculum and you look at it on a wall, it's two-dimensional. It has width and it has length, but if you really start to understand, it has depth. And you should be able to take a level of curriculum, however you do it, by belt or sash or stripe or level or whatever you want to call it, but you should be able to take that level of curriculum and teach it 3 days a week for 2 hours for an entire year and never repeat what you teach.
Yeah.
Because if you understand that there's not just that width and that depth, or that width and that length, that there's depth, and that's the way Cass still teaches.
Yes.
Okay. There's a subject and you go into it in depth. And I think that's what's missing at times. I saw some people in April here in Atlanta that were particularly skillful, athletic. Levon, I believe, has a young man that is just phenomenal. But even still, there is a quality of movement that I don't see very often anymore in most of the people that I see out on the floor. And I think that comes from just the way most seminars are taught now. Not just Guro. I mean, Guro's there and he's got such a short time and so much to teach.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea, and he has so many instructors now, that the idea is to go, well, look here, this is this. Go study this now. Look at this. This is what this looks like. This is what this looks like. This is CLOT. This is Kali. This is JKD. You can't learn it at a seminar. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to spark your interest and let you go back to your own teachers and get that depth. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that quality of movement used to be taught all the time. And now I don't see that depth of movement, that depth of understanding.
I was thinking about this earlier today. I have seen only twice photographs of a perfect right round kick in Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Only 2 times have I seen perfect rendition of it. Once is Ajahn Chai kicking. The second time is Cass, and Ajahn Chai is holding for him. You know that picture? It's up at his school,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
right?
I haven't seen it.
I have used that picture many times to illustrate to my Muay Thai students this is what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
You know? And that's the thing. See, so a lot of people, if you go on the YouTube and you type in Cass Magda, you're gonna see a Kali video and a Silat video, right? And I dare say that for a lot of people, he is probably better known for those two arts, for Kali and Silat,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
right? But
Yeah.
I say to people all the time, I go, okay, but this is what you guys don't understand. Why do you think the JKD old timers, Bob Bremer, Daniel Lee, Pete Jacobs, Ted Wong, right? Herb Jackson, Tim Tackett. Why do you think those guys hung out at Cass Magda's? You see? And my take on it is Cass is a perfect example of what I call the Jeet Kune invisibility factor.
That's good.
Okay?
I like
People,
that.
people do not understand that the JKD principle of functionalizing, simplifying, practicalizing, if I can make up that word, that runs throughout the Magda curriculum, no matter what it is that they're doing. You see?
Yes.
And that's the value. That's the value for me as an instructor. That's the value. Helena, Neil and I, this was, let's see, Neil missed 84, I think, CMAA, and came back in 85. And Cass and I had,
Excuse myself and get a drink of water. I'm sorry. I don't want to keep coughing.
no worries. And Neil and I had a private lesson with Cass. And that, to say that it was groundbreaking to spend that private time with him when it came to instructor development is such an understatement. And if only Neil could be here to talk about this,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, both him and Dan T. I mean, it'd be a hell of a thing. But so I was making notes while you guys were talking about it. And there's this one thing that Cass shared with me and Neil, and I call it the method for creating technique, so to speak. Right? You guys tell me if you're familiar with this. So it's four elements that you can play with. You can play with the angle, you can play with the timing, you can play with the placement, and you can play with the weapon or the tool. You guys familiar with that?
Vaguely, I've heard of it. Yes.
Not in that particular way.
I've heard of it.
Right. Not in that way either. Yeah.
Yeah. So 39 years ago, that was something that Cass shared with me and Neil. And I have used the smack out of it for almost 40 years. That's so curriculum wise, that's the impact that he's had on everything that I do. And the reason why I brought up the thing about JKD invisibility is because out there on the internet, Don, there are some people who are, what's the word for them? M-orons. That's what they are. They're M-orons. Okay? So somebody is going to go, oh, look, they're talking about, but nobody's talking about Bruce Lee and Jeet Kune, right? Because they don't get it. They absolutely They absolutely do not get it, right? So, uh, Tammy, did you tell this? Yeah, you did tell the story about the business stuff, right? Okay, so now seminar stuff, right? Why? So answer this question, and then we'll start to wrap this up. Why, in your opinion, should everyone attend a Cast Magda seminar? And I got to tell you, I don't know if I told you this before, but all of my martial art colleagues in Michigan, like I have been telling everybody that they owe it to themselves to make it to, how do you pronounce that? Okimos?
Yes.
Okimos, right? That they owe it to themselves because, look, I mean, I'm not predicting anything or trying to set anybody up or what have you, but Sifu Inasano is going to be 88 this year. If there was such a thing as who the mantle, and we know he'll never do this, but if there was such a thing as who the mantle should be passed to, I think there's only a couple. There's only a couple people, and Cast Magda is one of them.
I agree. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So tell everybody why they should come to. And now I just thought of something. To get to Okimos, it's okay to fly into Lansing, right?
Yes.
Okay, because that's what Ron and I have set up to do. But I wasn't sure. Okay.
Yes. Yes. It's better. If you fly into Detroit, you're going to be an hour away. So
Okay.
you'll fly from Detroit to Lansing, and then you're like 20 minutes, if
Okay,
if
cool.
that long. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Well,
So
first
I
of
lost
all,
Helena on my screen.
Yeah, Elaine, yeah.
I think she had to leave.
Oh,
Or her
her feed
iPad
cut out.
battery or her iPad battery. Okay.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
All right.
Okay. Well, we actually had Cass here for his very first seminar ever. So back in,
Oh, you guys did.
yeah, that was his first seminar he ever did on his own. Yeah.
Ah.
And but all the things that we've been talking about is why I believe people should come and train at the seminar, is because of everything that Cass pretty much, he's the one who can really help teach people how to get the whole essence of everything when it comes to the Kali and the Silat and the JKD. Hi, Helena.
Am I
Yeah,
back?
you're back. Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, I think that is probably one of the main things that people need to come and experience and try to absorb that for their own personal training. Because I think it's good for them to see somebody other than just their own instructor. I think it's good for everybody to experience that, to be able to watch how Cass can convey information and help them become better at their whole art, not just in the physical, but like Don, you were talking about the philosophical. I know when Dan and Cass used to have phone conversations, literally they would be on the phone for 2 or 3 hours, and it was just
Yeah.
a constant curriculum, philosophical conversations, a little bit of joking here and there, of course, but yeah, it was. And Cass idolizes that, in it, like you said, in his own school as well, Dwight, and the common thread through all his arts.
Right.
So I think it's good for people to experience that.
Yeah. To me, and Ron said this also, right? Ron says you might be able to take the Magda out of the Inasano Academy, but you can't take the Inasano out of the Magda.
That's right.
And when you go to a seminar with Cass, I think one of the biggest things, and kind of you put it that way, Tammy, but I think one of the biggest things that you'll walk away with is you will learn how to learn better every time you take a seminar or a class after that. He will teach you how to learn. And it's not something that's, I don't think, done on purpose. I think it's just the fact that somewhere along the way during that seminar, if you are lucky, you will pick up on, like you said, the way he conveys the information, but you will start to see things the way he sees things and question things the way he questions things, not
Yes.
negatively, but openly, but with a discerning eye. And, with that JKD eye of seeing what is important in that moment, in that structure of
Right.
whatever you're learning. And you start to learn that way, hopefully.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Helena. I know you got to go soon. So when you tell us in your eyes why everybody should come to a Cast Magda seminar.
Don pretty much said it. Both Tammy and Don said it. It will allow you to see things in a different light, in a different way, through a different filter, so to speak. Uh, it gets you thinking differently about how you train, how you look at the techniques, how you perform, how you're physically doing the techniques, how you're physically training. For me, every time I would see Sifocast, and again, it wasn't as much as Tammy and yourself and Don. Every time I've seen him, I changed the way I went and approached my training, from a physical aspect, from a philosophical, and a mental aspect as well. Every time I changed something, and it made me a better martial artist all around, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, all of it. So I think in anybody's martial art journey, so to speak, this is a must. It's an
Yeah.
absolute must to,
Yeah.
to train with him.
Yeah. I know. Don, have you ever heard him use the phrase "when Inasano was on fire"?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's the greatest benefit, right, for any of us if we can get with him, with Chris Kent, with him and Chris or what have you, because that's what those guys experienced.
Yes.
The years when Inasano was on fire.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, if a guy said, if you meet a guy at instructor camp and he goes, oh yeah, I've been with Sifu Dan for 10 years. Okay, good. 10 years is good, but it means you joined him when he was 78 years old.
Well, and there's a big difference between I run this into this with, or I used to run into it. Thank God I'm out of that whole world. Uh, I have, I have 20 years experience. Well, do you really have 20 years experience, or do you have 1 year's experience 20 times?
20 times.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where that depth of understanding comes into play that you
Right.
get with Seafood Cass, that
Right.
you get with Seafood Chris, that you get with of course Guru Dan when
Yeah.
when
I mean,
they're wanting to share it.
right.
Mhm.
And this is not, it's gonna sound like it, but this is not a slight towards any of the people who are currently on the Inasano instructor program. Do not get me wrong about this. But the requirement is 20 hours a year. That's the requirement to maintain
Right.
your position. Okay. How long did it take Cass Magda to get 20 hours with Dan Inasano?
A week.
Yeah.
A week? Think about it. Think about it, right? 16 hours a day for 5 years.
Well,
Yeah.
Cass lived with Dan for almost 5 years.
Right?
Yeah.
You see,
Yeah.
you see what I'm saying? So just that alone is why I think everybody owes it to themselves. to come experience it. And I'm not trying to be self-serving because we're promoting Tammy's seminar and by extension promoting Titans next year. No, I really, really believe this. The closest that you can get to, remember, Don, you finish class at 9 p.m. or whatever, and you go to the Thai restaurant, right? And 2 hours later, they're kicking you out of the restaurant, and then you're back in the car park, right? And then it's another 2 hours.
This came to me a couple of times during this conversation, but there were times, and Cass would talk about this, and had hundreds of experiences like that. But I had the good fortune to have a couple of those experiences, where after class was done for the night, it was 10 o'clock, and then Girl Dan would just be hanging around, and those, 5 or 6 or 8 people would sit around, and you would start to talk. You'd sit on the damn concrete and the folding chairs and shit. And that's where you got some of the gems. I do have to say, since I made a disparaging comment at the beginning, I do have to say, who else really, really gets it and is, in some ways at the same level as Sifu Cass is Joel Clark. Joel Clark has it. He's got that. He's got the understanding. Because I have conversations with him, and I had him actually stay at my house one time for a couple of days. He was visiting his dad here in Georgia. And boy, the conversations and the stuff, he also gets it. But there's just something about, and there's just something about Sifu Cass that's different than the other instructors that I've met when it comes to Kali, C-Lot, even this JKD, with he and Chris. I mean, that's what I was watching the first time at the academy when I met Cass, was him, he and Chris in a JKD class. It wasn't even college. And I was just like, man, because back then I was a kickboxer, and I was like, yeah, okay, the Kali's cool, but I want to learn how to kick and punch somebody. Learn.
Yeah, we Ron and I went out last year to his wooden dummy seminar.
Yeah.
Right, and it's like, I don't think there's anybody out there that uses the wooden dummy the way he does. They think that theirs is a Jeet Kune wooden dummy. It isn't. It isn't at all.
Yeah, and I don't have much experience with Cass on the dummy, but I will tell you what, I've trained. Okay, I'm going to keep this one for off air. Never mind.
Okay.
I was going to get into C-Lot and that whole thing about C-Lot, but I'll do that. I'll do that privately. Let's just put it this way: Cass's C-Lot is head and shoulders above any other C-Lot that I've ever seen. Not that I've been around the world, know that much, but head and shoulders above.
Yeah.
I mean, he really has taken it and to a different level.
Yeah. A few seminars ago when we were out there and we did the Q&A, and I asked him, I think I remember correctly, I asked him, what's the most important thing you think you got from Inasano? And he said what you said, Don, the ability to learn how to learn.
Yep.
Right. And with him, one of the other things that he taught Neil and me in that private lesson was the idea of, okay, so it takes you 3 motions to pull off such and such technique. Okay, examine it. How can you bring that from 3 to 2? Okay, sure. Now go deeper again. Can you bring that down to 1? So that, remember he got in trouble when he went off into the C-Lot, and And it's even on his 93 video where he talks about instead of going wide,
Yep.
that he took silat and he went deep,
Deep.
right? And all kind of brouhaha sprung up because of that. Because people are like, oh, he's saying he didn't learn anything from Inosano. No, that's not what he's saying at all.
At all.
Right?
Right.
Who the hell do you think taught him how to go deep?
Right.
Right.
Right. And,
Right.
and it's just that. And the other thing that rocked my world. This was 3 years ago when a group of us from Miami went out for his fighting tactics of the Eskrima Master seminar. And I look at what he's doing and I go, oh my God. All of us got the handout from Inosano entitled Lacoste Stick Drills for Offense and Defense. You know, the one that goes lob tick with tick, lob tick, lob
Yep.
tick, lob tick, tick, right?
Yep.
And then it's got
Yep.
Kawaiian
Yep.
and it's got Ali Bong
Yep.
Bong and it's got, right?
Yep.
We all got that. How many of us took each of those drills and worked the smack out of it as an entry, as a follow-up, as a finish?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I know.
Yeah.
We
I
all got the same material.
and
He just embodies the essence of the Kali and the Silat. He really does.
Absolutely.
yeah. And again, you know, it goes back to Guru Dan. You know, Sifu, when I talk with Sifu Cass, you know, he will still say something every now and then. We'll be talking about Guru, and he'll go, "Yeah, you know, I'm still not even good enough to carry his stick bag for him." And I'm like, you know, and that's just cool. That's just Cass. As good as he is, he still, you know, has that depth of respect, and I'll just say love for Guru and all of the instructors that he studied with. Yeah. Get him to tell some stories sometime about, you know, when Guru Dan took him around to other instructors. He's got a few funny stories.
Yeah. We some of the funniest though are the Del Pollard stories.
Oh God. You know, making me cry. Making me cry. Tammy, I'll have to tell you about the Lansing, Michigan story. We'll have to talk. I'll tell you that one offline.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So Tammy, let's wrap this up. Tell everybody again the details and where they can go for more information on the September seminar.
Okay. They can go to my Facebook page, Mid-Michigan Academy of Martial Arts. And we have on there a link for them to register for the seminar through either they can do PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App. And all that information is on the website. And I can send it to you too, Dwight. And then if you want to put it up, the website. And they can go there.
Let me ask you, for the dinosaurs like me that don't do Facebook, is there a place? What's your website? Or you can just text it to me when you're done.
I'll text it to you. Yep.
Right.
And then it's September 21st and 22nd, and it's going to be here at my school. I have 2 floors, so I should have enough room for everybody to train here.
Wow.
It's in Okemos. Okemos, Michigan is just east of Lansing. Lansing is the center of Michigan. Those of you who know Michigan is the mitten. It's in the middle. That's the easiest way to explain it.
I know. Yeah.
So,
All right. Okay. All right. So what else is there? This is going to be so nostalgic. Right?
Yes, it will.
You know, Don, did you go to the Mid-Michigan camps, 87 and 88? Did you go to those? I don't remember if you were
I
there.
don't know.
I
Tammy,
don't
did
think
I?
so. I don't
Okay,
think
probably
we
not.
can't. No.
No,
Mm-mm.
I
man.
don't think so. And you know
Helena,
what? Yeah, you know what? Unless I am physically like in the hospital, even if I can't train, all right, I'll be there on the 21st and 22nd.
Wow, this is
23rd
going to
and
be
21st.
awesome. It's going to be great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah. Helena, the Mid-Michigan camp, that was prime Calif Woods time.
Yes, I got videos of those too. I got
Yeah.
videos of those too. And
Yeah.
Neil would talk about those camps all the time. He had story after story after story. Oh, this happened in the Michigan camp. Oh, this happened in the Michigan camp. All the time.
Yeah.
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 I
Yes.
almost feel like I was there, just knowing all the stories and hearing about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
Yes.
for sure. All right. Okay. Well, folks, thank you very much for spending some of your evening with me. This was a pleasure. Don, good to see you. I should let everybody know that I reached out to you about 4 years ago to come on my show.
You did?
I did.
Uh-oh.
Well, I will. Sometimes I claim old age and bad memory just for old age, but I'm not even going to claim it this time. I just have no recollection of that. Did we speak?
It's been so long I can't even remember. But of course, you were definitely on my list when I started doing this.
Well, will put it this way. Let me make up for it by saying that I will come on anytime in the future that you would like me to.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. I miss the camaraderie of those years. So it'll be so good. Yeah, it'll be so good to see everyone in Michigan. I'm excited now.
Yeah,
Made my month.
I think I'll just sit down and take notes again.
Oh, Dwight.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
see.
what I'll do.
Or
right.
or we can put some chairs up, for like for the OGs, old guys and old gals, and we can sit there with our arms crossed, and just whisper to one another like we're talking about people.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it.
Yep.
And really, where I'm going, I'm hungry. How about you? Full of all.
Okay. All right. Well, folks, thanks again. I really, really
right.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Dwight. I
Thanks for the
appreciate it.
invitation. Great to
Sure
talk
thing.
to you guys. I love you guys.
Yeah.
Take care of yourselves.
Love you
Guys,
guys
take care.
too.
Love you guys.
All right.
Have a good night. Good to see you all.
All right.
See
Thanks,
ya.
guys.
All right. Bye.
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 All right. Wow. Talk about the old days, man. So Tammy and I have known each other since 83. I've known Don since 85. And Helena, now I forget when Helena and I met. I think we met like the early 90s or whatever. Anyhow, so thank you guys for hanging out with us and indulging me in celebrating a guy who's really, really important to me and my development. So that is it. If you guys have any questions about any of this, go ahead and put them in the comments. I'll take a look at it and see what I need to do. So you can support the show over on the YouTube at the JKD Dialogues channel. If you just click on the join link, and you'll see the different levels of membership that we have there at paypal.me/UnifiedMA Miami, paypal.me/UnifiedMA Miami. The Jeet Kune Journey Volume 1 is available, paypal.me/UnifiedMA Miami. You can also support the show at jkdrebel.com. Click on the Rebel Gear link, and that's where you'll see stuff like this, the 4 tenets of Jeet Kune coffee mug, or stuff like this, the official UMAA Miami JKD Kali t-shirt. All this stuff is available, sweatshirt, hoodie, all that good stuff, coffee mugs, all that stuff. But of course, the best thing you can do is to share this video and spread the word about the Jeet Kune Dialogues. Two more things. Well, we talked about Titans, but some of you know that we are doing the TCF seminar here next month with G. Anthony and Mrs. G. Joseph. That is, you can find information on that. Go to facebook.com, go to my page, Dwight D. Woods, and then just click on the events section, and you'll see the information about all that. All right, so that is it for me for this week. You guys have a great weekend. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Rebel, signing off. We'll talk soon. Take care.